joined by Marty Bicknell, the CEO of Mariner Wealth Advisors. Marty, thanks for being here today.
Brian, thanks for having me.
So Marty, there is a huge trend that's been taking place for the past 10, 15 years. You have advisors that are in the wirehouses that have been leaving to go independent to join registered investment advisory firms. What do you think is driving that from your perspective?
Yeah, Brian, it's a great question. And, you're right. The trend has been significant. And, from my perspective, I think that trend's just going to continue to increase. Really what I think is driving it, I think the best way to answer that question is to give you the kind of personal experience standpoint. And then you kind of expand that into what others may be feeling. But a group of us left A.G. Edwards in 2006 to form Mariner Wealth Advisors. And really, the reason we did it is a few simple reasons. Number one, the atmosphere and the perspective of the large wirehouses is mainly about the shareholder. It's mainly about driving profits, and it's not about the client. And as you know, Mariner Wealth Advisors is all about putting the client first. And as you think about the best way to do that, the registered investment advisor model just simply allows you to really approach the client experience from, what is the best way to help them achieve their goals. And that could be from the standpoint of, certain products that you're being encouraged to offer. It could be, services that you just don't have access to. Whether that's giving tax advice, and there's obviously a lot of other different perspectives, but, thinking about, a holistic offering and being able to see clients through that is really what's driving it. There's a lot of advisors that we talk to that are coming to the registered investment advisor because they want to be entrepreneurs. They want to, start an enterprise and run a business. But that's a small percentage. The larger percentage of advisors that are leaving wirehouses simply want to find a platform that allows them to give advice in an unrestricted way.
Yeah, a couple of thoughts here. I know that you and I have met with a lot of advisors, and you a lot more than I have, but it's that conversation that, I created a business and one day I woke up and I was an entrepreneur. And the reality is that's not what I want to do. I want to spend time in front of clients. And so I think it's a valuable conversation for people to be thinking about. The other thing to think about, as I go back as you're talking is, many years ago, you and I having this conversation and you explaining the model to me for the very first time. And it was just really interesting how, you're no longer within these guardrails, that you can go a variety of different ways outside of those guardrails to provide your clients true comprehensive advice, that one-stop shop that I think clients seek. And I know they appreciate within our organization. So if you take a step back and you say to yourself, way back when, prior to 2006, when you were thinking about making that move, what scared you, frankly? What were you thinking about back then that, I'm not really sure if I want to do that right now? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about comfort in size, comfort in a large organization. I don't want to just, brush that off and not take that seriously, because there's a lot of comfort in that. So, that was a fear. What's really interesting about, thinking back to those days is when we first started the process, I didn't know what an RIA was. And to me, an RIA was, the separate account managers that we allocated, client assets to. I didn't know there was a platform for advice. And the biggest fear I had is, not knowing what I didn't know, right? Trying to figure out, the technology support that we needed, trying to figure out the right custodian, trying to figure out how we were going to report on performance and what was going to be our planning software, and all of those components that you now have to go figure out on your own. That seemed overwhelming at the time. And so I worried about that. Then I worried about, how was I going to find talent? I mean, putting my own stake in the ground and being this, brand new startup firm, was I going to be able to convince people to come join us and be able to give them the confidence that this, was a long-term thing.
Looking back, you did give them the confidence. You did put that stake in the ground, and you did build one heck of a company. So maybe just just one parting thought. I mean, if there are advisors that are out there that are watching this right now, maybe they're at the wirehouse, wherever they might be. What's a suggestion, maybe one step that they should think about or take if they are considering going the RIA route?
Yeah, I think it would really be to take a step back and do a couple things. So number one, what's important to them? And think about it, non-negotiables, whatever. But what does the platform and the options and availability of things need to look like? Because it's wide open, it's unlimited, and you could get lost in that. So make the determination of these are the things I need to really get started. Then I think the last thing is what are you trying to solve for the client? So thinking about the value proposition and the client experience, can I map that out today? And if I can map that out today, the other questions about how to fill in the buckets become much more clear. And knowing that the offering that you're leaving is not the offering you're coming to, and that needs to totally be understood.
Yeah, that's terrific. I would just add, again, thinking about your goals over the next couple of years and where you're going to have that support in terms of what the future of the industry looks like and what clients are ultimately going to seek. So, Marty, that's terrific. Really appreciate your time and sharing your perspective today.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.